What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jacked Ramsays pregame show. I'm your host, Danny Marang, joined as always by Brandon Sprague. And, well, this one's going to be a little bit different because, hey, look at that. Well, there's more non-basketball news. The Blazers are getting ready to take a matinee game on the road against the Houston Rockets. But, obviously, this morning, the news of the day, there was a resignation in the top office at the Portland Trailblazers, Brandon Sprague. But it wasn't Neil Olshey. It was Mr. Chris McGowan. What was your immediate thoughts? What was your immediate takeaways? What when you saw that tweet come across from Mr. Chris Haynes, what were you thinking?
I was pretty disappointed because I'm not going to be able to talk about Jae'Sean Tate. I was doing a lot of research on Jae'Sean Tate, Daniel Tice, the rotation of the Houston Rockets. Jalen Green's been fun. Kevin Porter's had a bit of a career turnaround for himself in Houston. That was my number one thought was, damn it, I can't talk about the 1-10 Houston Rockets today. No, it was surprising. It had to have been surprising, I think, to mostly everybody, right? Like, we were all waiting. Dwight, I saw that tweet that you sent it to me, that Dwight's, maybe a news dump was coming and it's Neil related. I don't know who saw the McGowan thing happening 12 games into the year. To me, it's not so much about that he moved on and wanted to go explore other ventures because, he came from the Kings. He came up here. To me, it's about the timing. And the timing, there's been a lot of people to kind of maybe dispel some of the timing and stuff, but I don't think it's a coincidence that he's resigning 12 games into the season, even though his contract ends at the end of the year, but he's leaving 12 games in right in the middle of the investigation. It's just, there's some weird stuff going on. This organization seems like it's in a mess.
The last part, I 100% agree with you on. I'm going to push back a little bit on the timing. One of the questions we have in there from Jack Welling, do you think this is connected to the Neil investigation or just a weird coincidence in terms of timing? I'm going to go more towards the weird coincidence.
Well, you might push back, but let me just state, I don't think he's involved in the investigation. I don't think he's going to be implicated in any way in this toxic situation. It's more to me of like, it's probably a guy that knew he was going to leave and he was like, do I really want to hang around for 75 more games of this? And that is what I mean by, I don't think it's a coincidence that he's choosing to leave while this is going on.
So the official press release has him resigning November 1st, which would be before the investigation was conducted. I think that the investigation may have sped things along as far as like the public recognition of it. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that from what I've been told, that Chris was basically at the point of, and actually Jason Quick just released an article about it.
I'm just away. I'm just about through it. So yeah, I'm seeing kind of the same thing you're going to mention.
So more of, hey, I'm in charge of the business side of things. I'd like to have a little bit more say in how things are being framed because Neil keeps stepping in it and making us look really effing stupid over and over and over again. And essentially Chris urged Jody Allen, the chairperson of the Allen Trust, to basically be the voice. If I'm not going to do it, because it sounds like Chris did not want to be it. I think Chris is very much and has been a behind-the-scenes guy.
Yes.
He likes just moving in the shadows, and I think he's done a great job in that regard. Everybody pushing back about the Root Sports stuff and Moda Center and the Mike and Mikes, I would suggest not hammering that stuff without knowing some of the more intricate details. I'll just leave it at that. While everybody's going to have their opinions on stuff, there's a lot more to each one of those things. I'll just say with the broadcasting hires, that was from Paul Allen. So don't get mad at Chris for that. Paul Allen wanted a Seattle guy in there. He wanted somebody he was familiar with, and that's why Kevin Calabro was put in place. So when you're given your mandate by your boss, and this isn't to excuse or say Chris is the best, but that's what the mandate he was given. But as far as Chris is concerned, when you see everyone in the organization saying good tidings, do well, appreciate your time here, things are like from top to bottom, you can almost assuredly assume that he's not being linked or implicated or in any way, shape, matter, or form being tied into this investigation. Because if that were the case, you wouldn't have every forward-facing person of this team going, hey, Chris, appreciate you. It would unceremoniously sweep him out without a question. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple things at play here in that regard. The timing does suck, but I think the timing is more about Chris seeing the writing on the wall and going, hey, I don't want to sit here and deal with this.
Yeah, he's had enough, man. He had to deal with the Chauncey stuff, the Dame, kind of conversations, the Neil pressers,
the press conferences.
No, thank you. I'm out.
And here's the thing. For anybody out there, that affects sponsors. And Chris deals with sponsors. So when you're looking at that stuff over and over again, you're sitting there telling everybody, hey, guys, my basketball side guy is a moron, and he doesn't know how to conduct a press conference without bringing down the ire of the entire NBA media conglomerate on him. So sorry about that. So beyond that, like, not to get too cryptic, but Damian Lillard's time in Portland isn't that much longer. And when you're a team that's in rebuild, it's tough to be a business guy at the top of your group and not have like a feature guy to sell. Like, that's just something to consider.
That was that was admittedly my second thought, the McGowan thing. And, you read the press release and you see he's gone, and immediately your head kind of spins. You maybe text a couple people. But my second thought was, what is the franchise guy thinking? Right? Like, he posted a thing on Instagram. It was like, only time I fold is when I'm doing laundry, and I don't do laundry no more. And it's like, that's cool. I wish I could afford to not do laundry anymore as well. But like, you like to hear that. And this isn't to question the commitment stuff. It just, for me overall, was more about, can you imagine going from you borderline wanting to ask out because you want to go win, and then it blows back against you, so you recommit yourself, and then the coaching debacle happens, and then your general manager steps in it, and then he's investigated, and then your team starts slow, and then your number two is not your number two, and now your president is walking away, and oh, by the way, your owner is basically a mute. She does not have any interest in talking. I just read the quick piece. She has no interest in this thing, man. No. Like, I don't even think there's even the faintest of interest. I think when she shows up to a game and wears that stupid jacket, it is for her to just have a public image of, I'm the owner, I'm here. Yeah. She doesn't know what's going on.
She's literally never said anything public, ever, about this
She's
team.
Never talked one time. So my second thought, Danny, was, what is he thinking? Because you can talk about commitment and, this is my team. That's great. Are you going to be able to turn this around? Like, this is clearly a sinking ship, and it's much deeper than Olshey. Olshey is awful. He clearly had his evil roots dug into this thing.
Yeah.
But who is the owner now? It ain't Paul. Paul ain't walking through there saying, I want change, I want to win. It's his sister who doesn't care. So my second thought was, how's Dame feeling about all this?
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I mean, you kind of led right into it, is there's bad vibes within the entire organization, but I think there's two separate sets of bad vibes. There's the basketball bad vibes, which we're seeing from the starting lineup, which I think is stagnancy within the lineup, guys being around each other too much, all of that kind of stuff. And then there's the organizational bad vibes. And I don't know how much the second one has bled into the first, if at all. But I would imagine that it has ever so slightly. Yusuf Nurkic tweeting out the shocked emoji when McGowan left kind of lets you know, like, oh, they aren't aware of this, which kind of also informs at least me that, yeah, maybe the organizational bad vibes haven't really reached the team. They've reached the supporting staff and everything else. But from a consumer standpoint, it's a shit show. Like, flat out, unbelievably, because everywhere you look right now, where is that solid footing, Brandon? Who is not standing on a sand table right now in this organization?
I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know.
Norman Powell?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe Norm's not caring or worried about anything going on right now. I got my 90 million.
I got my 90 million. I got my minutes. I'm going to get in buckets. Like, that's it. Like,
Dave, I already got a ring. I don't. What else do I need?
That's what I mean. Like, everybody else has got something going on. Norm's over here like, man, what's all y'all problem?
Yeah.
So Nibble says Chris was bad. The root deal is on him. I don't want to get too much into the TV stuff because that number one, I have NDAs that I can't go into. But number two, I'd like to get back into TV sometimes. So I don't want to bash network providers. But that being said, there's only so many offers that are out there. And as I understand it, the root deal was the best one out there. So for everybody getting mad at that, and it hasn't been good. Don't get it wrong. The distribution stuff hasn't been great. But
that secondary channel thing, I think, has been the biggest mistake so far for them outside of, the YouTube TV streaming stuff. I think it's when, like, hey, we're preempting Blazers in Portland because we're going to air Kraken games.
Yeah, maybe flip that around.
Which is odd because I was told
that it was going to be the other way around in the markets.
Well, yeah, in Seattle they get Kraken and the Blazers be on the secondary, and in Portland it'd be Blazers, Kraken are on secondary. That's what I was told, and we're like 3 games into finding out that that's not right.
I had to have somebody text me like 3 minutes before that game, the first time that happened, like, "Hey, this is what's going to happen," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I didn't know where the channel was.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like as far as like finding what channel the game was on, because I looked at the guide
to my remote. I'm like Root Plus. And it took me like the thousands, and I'm like,
I've never been here before. What is this? Yeah, I did the exact same thing. As far as everybody, like, I hate having to squash this rumor. The team is not moving to Seattle. Stop it. The next person that asks me that, I'm going to block them. I swear to God. The team is never moving to Seattle. Ever. Ever. The NBA wants more teams, not less. They're going to they're going to start a new franchise in Seattle. That's what they're going to do. They are not moving a team. Portland is never moving.
If a team's moving, it should be New Orleans.
Listen, I don't disagree, but as I understand it, they still want to keep that team there, and they want to add 2 more.
No doubt.
They want to get it to 32 and raise the revenue. So, in that regard, but let's circle back to the executive stuff in Olshey.
By the way, I just quick add to your point that you made. I know there's examples in this league of all leagues, the messy, drama-filled league, where the bleeding doesn't always carry over to the on-court stuff. I do think there's instances where it does, and that's why you see certain organizations be bad for so long. Yes, and I hear what you're saying about Nurk, but it's hard for me not to believe that it hasn't bled in, maybe not to the players themselves,
but the support staff and everybody else.
To the office, you know what I mean? Like, there is obvious bleeding over in that regard.
Somebody just texted me, Danny, the team's moving to Seattle just to troll me. Thank you. I'm going to kill you.
Wow.
Thanks for watching the show.
Written about yet? Is somebody writing already?
Yeah, no, it's somebody watching right now just to troll me, and I appreciate it. There you go. You actually got me to pause and read the phone.
I was like, who is he reading right now?
Well, I saw the text message and a tweet came in at the same time, and typically when those come at the exact same time, that usually means somebody has broke some news and there's some little bit behind it. So I was like, crap, what is this? But back to Olshey. You and I are in a lockstep. Neil's done. There's nobody out there who believes. I've talked to 2 people who believe that there's a less than 100% chance that Neil's not done.
What's the percentage they give?
But I'm just saying that they said, those 2 people both said, I think there's a chance he could survive this. It's small, and that's out of like probably 50 people.
Please. Yeah, to those people, and I'm not saying they're not sourced or they don't have it on maybe some authority. Can you please just walk me through the steps of bringing guy back from toxic workplace environment, internal investigation, and saying he's okay, he's still going to run the environment? Can you please walk me through how that goes? Because I've never seen it.
So the way that I have heard this now is that the investigation is still ongoing.
Okay.
And it was originally going to be a week, and then it was going to be a couple weeks, like beyond 2, and now I've heard it could be kind of any day. The thought process, as has been told to me, is that probably by Monday. That's what I've heard. Because where we go from here is basically, if he's done, it's basically a negotiation about a buyout.
That's kind of what it feels like to me, that this is actually done. They're just haggling over, give me an extra $800,000 or whatever that kind of money stuff is. Like, that's what it feels like right now.
And the thing is, and this is where I think it gets a little bit messy, and I don't want to get too much into it. There's some stuff that I heard that I can't obviously corroborate or talk about publicly, but if it is indeed true, he's not going to get a penny. So, because it'll be a for cause situation. So that's what's like playing out in my head. It's like, I don't know what's going to go on here. Like, who is this being more stubborn or is this being weird? But like, when I look at it, I think it's like less that and more, like I said, haggling over money. So, yay! But
money we don't ever control or we should care about. Yay!
And here's the other thing, and I think I heard Quick say this on Richmond the other day as well. I've heard the same, is that if and when they do move on from Neil, they will have somebody in place pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was actually bring that up today, so I'm glad you did. That was, who's gonna run it, and it's not somebody's gonna fill in for the interim. They're gonna go find the next person, and bring them in, which is great. I think that's good news.
And the thing that I have heard here is that if they do stick somebody in, and as far as like a day-to-day while they're hunting, it'll be Joe Cronin. It won't be Rosie or Branch. It'll be Joe Cronin, who will kind of sit there in those couple days, week or whatever. And the names that I've been told over and over and over again, the two guys that are currently not employed in Danny Ainge and Dennis Lindsay. I think last I had heard, again, Ainge is doing consulting work for an NBA franchise. Lindsay
Isn't he doing it for Utah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lindsay is cashing checks from his buyout from the Jazz. Both guys, I think, are great at what they do. If I had my preference from those two, I'd take Lindsay. Chad Buchanan was kind of on some thin ice in Indiana because he was the one responsible for the Bjorkgren hire, and somebody had to kind of fall on their sword in that regard. So as far as I have heard it, Kevin Pritchard kind of took him back under his wing of protection, but if somebody wanted him, I think they would be willing to let him go in that regard. And then the name that keeps popping up over and over and over again is Tayshaun Prince. And let's kind of walk through this here real quick of why Tayshaun makes sense. Yes, Chauncey Billups, but more than just Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun is a guy that is very well liked, very well respected, is grinding his way out in Memphis, working his way up. But, and think about this, if you look at everything right now, as far as like who wants to have a voice, haggling over money, all of the different little stupid things that are popping up, if you just hired a coach for 5 years, Brandon, and you don't want to pay him out, what's a really good way to keep the relationship going? Do you think maybe hiring somebody who he's very, very familiar with to work with would be a good idea?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea.
So, if I am a betting man, I would put Tayshaun as the poll favorite.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, that tracks. I heard something 2 days ago talking with somebody, and they put him as the odds-on favorite. But let me ask you, who would you pick if you had a choice? Would you go that route? Would you say I got to worry about Chauncey and the relationship, or where do you go? I
would go Dennis Lindsay because of his success in a small market. He built that Jazz team and had a listen. When you're consistently drafting guys that you're like, oh hit.
He's the one that drafted Donovan, right?
Yes.
So he didn't take Zach Collins?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, bring that guy here.
Yeah. So Dennis Lindsay, so the story is that Donovan Mitchell's workout in Utah was so good that Dennis Lindsay basically threatened everybody in the organization if they said a word about him.
Wouldn't you?
Yes.
I'd be like, hey,
so the workout was so good that Dennis Lindsay told everybody, I swear to God, I will cut you. That's not what he said. I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, I like what he has done.
Take it a step further. It was so good in Portland. Dame said, I want that dude. And then Neil didn't draft him.
Yes. So
perspective.
Again. Yeah. And I think Lindsay would be a great hire. I have asked around on Tayshaun, and the thing that I have been told is he is grinding his ass off. That that's great. He is a paperwork guy. He's a film guy. He is a scouting report guy.
So wait, he's not a former player who's lazy?
No. Apparently, former professional athletes are not lazy.
That's
shocking as that may be, right?
That's good to hear. Yeah.
You former NBA guys are so lazy.
I cannot wait for this era. I cannot just wait for it to be done, man. And can I just add to it? And I know we'll talk about it when it happens, and maybe we'll rehash this again. But I think what makes me the most upset, taking my media hat off and putting like the local, been here my whole life. I rooted for the Sonics with Gary and the Blazers. Like I know I'm one of those weird people. But what putting the fan hat on for a second, the thing that frustrated me a lot during this whole thing is the fact that dude was able to run the summer. That dude got to stay in charge and dictate the roster, the coaching, the whole shebang. And he was allowed to come back again. And 12 games in, he's probably going to be fired, terminated, whatever they're going to use. But it's just frustrating, man. And the most pivotal offseason in this franchise's history, that dude was allowed to come back, and then 12 games in, they said, nah, get out of here. You're awful.
And there's a reason why, folks, that you heard so much noise around a new GM this summer. This is not a new thing. I love the camera froze on your eyes for a split second as your eyes almost rolled out of the back of your head. That was great.
Well, I read a piece, a piece of Quick's thing, and I want to cite it here because it's an interesting, informative piece about how McGowan got to where he got. And it says, like, it basically cites that, Jody has picked up the tab, offering. Here it is. She has been supportive of the Blazers from a monetary standpoint. She handed out the extensions to Dame, CJ, O'Shea, Terry, etc. Right? He's not wrong in that reporting element. What bothers me is that it's framed as if she's this willing spender. If you can't afford to buy out a general manager because he's obviously shitty, you're not really invested from a monetary standpoint.
And you're not going over the luxury tax, and you're worried about every little thing. Yeah.
There is some evidence to the contrary about it. And he's right. Like, she was willing to do all that stuff, but she took over a $20 billion trust from her brother, like, to
and a team worth $2 billion.
To pay an extra $15 million for some guy to piss off, like, that is nothing to these people. So that's kind of been my pushback with hers. I just don't think she's been invested in anything.
It's being run like an asset. Like, don't get it twisted. Jody Allen is sitting on this thing until the expansion comes in the league, and she can rake in the expansion fees from the other two teams. It's going to be a windfall of like probably $200 million. And if you look in the legal side of this, what is supposed to happen with the sale of the team is that all of the proceeds from the sale of the team are supposed to go to the trust and then be distributed as part of the charity. But those proceeds, the profits from the expansion fees, those would not go to that.
She's going to get all of it.
So it behooves her to run this thing like an asset. To keep things at the very top the same.
Yes.
Lock in Terry, lock in Neil, lock in Dame, lock in CJ, control your top end expenditures, and then churn the rest. There you go. I mean, and this is why I have hammered over the years. Ownership is the biggest advantage in professional sports in North America, without a doubt. It's the one thing you can absolutely unequivocally control. Look at the organizations that have the best owners. They're not winning because they don't have the best owners because they're winning. They're winning because they have the best owners. Yes, you can stumble into Tom Brady in, 6th round?
Yeah. Pick 199.
Yeah. As much as Belichick has sat there and cheaped around on everything else, they operate everything within the framework, and Robert Kraft keeps writing the checks. They keep investing in the stadium. They keep investing in the community. They just kept running. That team was always in the top payroll, right at the top. Anytime somebody was a free agent, hey, we have $4 million. Let's go grab that guy. Hey, and it just kept going and going and going. The Spurs, the same thing. They just kept spending and spending and spending and spending. The Warriors kept spending and spending and spending. Every example is there.
I mean, largely the best owners and I know you can point to contrary to this opinion, but I think some of it has to do with market, team, etc. You ever notice like the best, like the teams that win are usually owners you don't know because they know to get out of the way. Like, who's the Spurs owner? Would anybody know that answer? Greg Popovich? Like, is he the owner?
You would think.
But they step back and they understand. Robert Kraft, up until like 3 years ago at the very end of Brady, we knew his name because he had a cool story, a season ticket holder about the Patriots when they were for cheap, and they started winning. But like, what did he do
Until he went to a salon, you didn't really know his name.
Well, everybody needs a massage every now and then. But he gave Bill Belichick, hey, go do it. You got it. Go do it. I'm just going to sit here in the suite.
Invested in watching and being a part of things, but not disinterested.
Mickey Arison in Miami. It's Miami, so we know that name. But like, that's basically being run by Pat Riley, Haralabob Vulgaris, who just left the Dallas Mavericks, NBA better extraordinaire. He just in interview, and in the interview, he cites every single detail that team does is basically dictated or run by Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban's won a championship, so I'm not going to call him a failure, but there's also a reason they've had so many letdown seasons. It's not a coincidence that he's so damn hands-on.
You want to strike that balance between entirely hands-on Jerry Jones and entirely hands-off Jody Allen. Like you want,
I don't want Jody Allen, but I sure as hell don't.
No,
want
that's what I'm saying.
Jones
You don't want either of those two polarities. Like you want to be. And that's when we put our hands together. We pray. We pray for Larry Ellison. If the Trailblazers can be sold, I want it to be one of like the 5 richest people on the planet who treat it like a plaything. Oh. That's what I want. Everybody's like, oh, I want this. I'm like, no, give me the guy that has more money than God that wants to play. That's what I want. That's peak ownership. That's what you're trying to strike it. You want to talk some basketball?
Do people want us to talk basketball? The Rockets are terrible.
Oh, we can talk about it real quick at least.
I'll give you one. I have one stat.
What do you got?
I actually don't. My cleaning the glass account's working now.
Yeah, no. Shout out Ben Falk.
Shout out Ben Falk, man. I love that website. Just like one day it just went bad. So I was looking at all their stuff, their on-offs, their lineups, because I haven't seen all those Rockets games. I've seen a couple like bits and pieces. So the one stat that should concern Blazer fan tonight is they shoot 41% from the corner three.
They're not taking that many.
They're not.
Where they get to, like a young team, the rim. They're the highest rim frequency team in the league.
68% or whatever.
Yeah, damn near 70% of their shots are coming at the rim.
Yeah.
Which the Blazers are one of, I think they're second or third in the league in deterring rim shots. So are the Blazers going to load up and take that away and end up turning them into corner 3-point shooting teams or not? So I think that's kind of like a...
What does it say about this team that the Rockets are 1-10? And the Blazers are 6.5 point favorites, and I don't think I want to take those.
I'm
points.
not. I never touch those points on young teams. Never, ever, because you never know when one of those rookies is going to have that 38-point game, and you're like, nope. Because don't get it twisted. Like Jalen Green can go off. Kevin Porter Jr. We've seen him go. He had a 50-point game last year? Mm-hmm. He went absolutely. So you don't play. Sengun's had a
Christian Wood, Eric Gordon.
Christian Wood has killed this team.
Yes, he has.
Christian Wood got his contract off 2 games he played against this team. Just murdered them. So I never touch games with young players. Like OKC, Detroit, Houston, I will take over-unders. That is the only thing I'll even come near. Point spreads with this is just... Real quick, because we're 28 minutes into the show now. Welcome to the Jack Ramsay Show. If you haven't already, please like, rate, review, subscribe, do all of the things. If you're watching here on YouTube, click the subscribe button. Help us grow. We're trying to get to 2,000 by Thanksgiving. We're at 1840 last I looked, I think.
Let's go, baby.
So on our current rate, looks like we're going to slide right in there. But help us grow. Share us with your friends, your family, your enemies, your frenemies, everybody. If you want to, go ahead and like and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, Apple. That's where everybody leaves reviews because you can't leave them on Spotify. So without further ado,
I do like the Spotify app, though. Better for podcasting.
Listen, man, I will give Spotify a shout out here because I am a Spotify alpha tester and I've got Spotify for life.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just happened to, I got an email. Was it like 2010 that came out? And they're like, yeah, if you try this, we'll give you'll stick around for life. So I've got Spotify for life. It was a cool deal. So
that's not a bad situation if you can get it.
Yeah. So I am a Spotify guy through and through. But let's get into today's game against the Houston Rockets, which is a little bit of a matinee game. It's ready to tip off here in about 23-ish minutes. I have a couple things I want to talk about here, good and bad. First of all, heading into tonight's game, in the last 5 games, Anthony Simons is averaging 10 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, shooting 37% from the field, 26% from 3. Anthony Simons, I'm calling this the funky cold Medina.
I like that.
You like that? Yeah, it's a bit of a cold snap for
I love how into headlines you are for things like I don't know where that stems from for you, but like every single thing that happens with this team, you try to think of a headline for it.
It just, I wrote so many bleeping headlines at Blazers Edge when I first started in 2014, 2015.
Do they make the writers of the pieces the headline writer too, or is that a separate thing?
That's usually the editor, but to speed things up on like nightly recaps, which is when I really started writing, I would put a stupid headline in there. And it kind of became my thing.
Right.
And so I just kind of kept going with very, very stupid headlines.
Yeah.
And that's my one talent.
I'm looking forward to the Jalen Green stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm in for tonight. Like if you're looking for matchups, you're looking for something to be excited about. Jalen Green, Anthony Simons. That's for sure on my top 3 things most looking forward to from this game.
100%. I'm going to do this with a kind of a sandwich action. So it's going to go good, bad, kind of good. Or should I say bad, good, kind of good. Yusuf Nurkic settling in, perhaps. 11 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 61% shooting over his last 5 games. Now, I think that doesn't tell the whole story, but...
I was just going to say numbers do lie sometimes.
Numbers don't do anything. It's what the people do with them, Brendan. Don't do that. Remember? Let me go ahead and get in the frame. Analytics. There we go.
You're such a nerd.
I am a giant nerd. But Nurk, if nothing else, getting outplayed by Frank Kaminsky sucks. Getting outplayed by Miles Turner sucks. He did look better significantly against the Lakers, but who's really there?
Who left early in that game?
Anthony Davis.
That's right.
But
there's pseudo center. Basically.
The big takeaway here: Nurk is finishing his shots. 61% of his last 5 games. He is at a career high right now in field goal percentage. He is converting around the rim. He does appear to be taking better care of the ball, both as a finisher and as a playmaker. He got a little bit of an uprate usage over the last couple games as a playmaker. So you and I were kind of talked about that. 15 games, we're kind of reaching that point of like they make that decision to turn the knob up, turn it down, or leave it where it's at as far as Yusuf Nurkic is concerned. He goes against a very nimble Christian Wood, who has kicked the ever-living hell out of this franchise the last couple times they're head-to-head. What do you want to see from Big Nurk night?
I want to see the Clipper game performance. I don't want to see the Phoenix Sun game performance.
Yeah, no, he disappeared.
But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like you're not wrong. Like it's how we dictate or determine the numbers that we're going to use, right? So it's really us. It's not the numbers' fault that they're saying what they're saying. It's hard to give me those numbers and talk about, hey, his last 5 games, it's this percentage, it's that. It's like, that's cool. But I watched the Phoenix game. He got his ass kicked by Frank Kaminsky.
It's a tough sell.
Who didn't start for them.
It's a tough sell.
That's the second team that I know of. Maybe there's another one that I'm forgetting. Second game this year where the backup center has dominated.
Gave you work.
The starting center, Frank Kaminsky and Andre Drummond.
Gave him absolute work in different ways.
Go be the Clippers, Nurk. And we kind of, I don't know if we disagree, but you'd pointed at maybe some slight flaws he had in that game. I just thought that's kind of what you're looking for from him. You're looking for those stats. I think he had 15 and 13 that night.
Yeah, I think 15, 13, and 6.
And 6. Yeah, that's right. But you're looking for that under control, not pressing, holding his own, doing just enough to allow them to feel good that they have a rim protecting player who's not mentally out of it. That's all I'm looking for tonight, because this is a huge matchup because of what you said. Christian Wood has dominated him.
They're 1-10.
I know.
It's so stupid.
The team has to win this game to win a road game, and Nurk can't get his ass kicked again by another player.
This is a must win, right?
It's a must win.
Like if they lose this game mentally, 0-7 on the road, losing to a bad Houston team, Nurk getting outplayed, Dame struggle, like everything all of a sudden goes whoop and just it gets exaggerated beyond belief, right?
It'd be one of the worst days for the franchise in quite some time with the McGowan stuff, the Neal stuff pending, and then you go 0-7 on the road. And this isn't, you didn't even really answer my
three straight on the road.
3 straight on the road. You didn't even really answer my thought at the start of this. How's Dame feeling amongst all of this stuff?
I'm sure he's just stellar.
So if they lose tonight, what's that going to do?
You know what's kind of pissed me off, I'll be honest?
That we bringing this up? I'm sorry.
No,
I'll stop.
I love it.
Let me just mute my microphone.
I wish, as cliche as it was, I wish we'd hear about a team meeting. That somebody was pissed off enough to be like, this shit can't stand anymore. You know what I mean?
What? Okay, I'm with you, but what does a team meeting solve to you? Because I don't think that's changing CJ.
No, but I think at least it projects giving a damn.
That's fair.
Like I said, I know it sounds cliche and I know it sounds dumb.
What's Boston been since their team meeting, like 4 games into the year?
They've won 4 of their last 5.
Okay, so there you go. Maybe team meetings are the way to go.
That was exactly on my mind. Like,
when you said that, I was like, Boston, what is... I forgot what their win-loss had been, but there you go.
Yeah. And I'd very much like for Larry Nance Jr. to lead it.
Oh, you want Larry Nance?
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me ask you that. He's one that will speak his mind, and we admire that about him.
And they will listen.
doesn't this mean, well, but will they? Because he's still kind of an outsider adapting to what this situation is. Doesn't it mean more coming from Dame?
Sure, but is Dame a guy who, he's not Kawhi. He's not going to sit there quietly.
No.
But he's also not a big talker. And that is, remember, going back to the LaMarcus years, that was part of the problem, is that neither one of those guys were really talkers. And Dame was kind of like, well, I guess I kind of have to.
And which was, by the way, that whole situation was unfair to Dame. That's a new player in a league.
But again,
life had changed.
That's
more LaMarcus.
They don't have big talkers on this team. They don't have raw guys. They don't have you. And this is what I think has been missing from Yusuf Nurkic this year. He has not been the bellwether guy. He has not been the spirit animal. Who has? I think Nas is the closest thing. Maybe Norm.
Nas, yeah.
But even then, they aren't the guy. You know what I mean? Like, you can't look at anybody on this team and go, look at him. And from him, you can tell what this team is feeling. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a weird thing. I think every team has a guy where you look at that guy and go, yeah, no, you can kind of see how this team's doing based on him. He's your temperature guy.
Yeah. And
I think the Blazers are missing that. Speaking of Mr. Lillard, I've said Dame is kind of turning the corner, but if you look at his last 5 games, the headline for this one, Brandon, for Damian Lillard, it's Dame Light savings instead of daylight savings. Dame Light savings. You like that? No? Nothing? Get it? It's a little play on word there. A little something.
God.
I thought it was pretty good. Dame's
just get to the numbers, please. Just get to the numbers.
22 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds on 41, 29, 67 splits.
When you thought of that, how proud were you to be like, that's a good one. I'm going to use.
Hold on, you want to know how proud I was? This is.
Yes, I do want to know.
Hold on, I've got something for you.
Okay.
This right here. Oh, where is it at? This is how proud I was right here. It's just a whole lot of just. Oh, that's right. You didn't know the light changed color, did you? I can.
You're going mood lighting on me.
Oh,
it looks
look
like
at
Home Depot.
Listen, man, I can go full on cops on you. I can do a lot with this.
Cops is filmed on location.
Yeah. Also, the flashing light really good for the vertigo. Let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure it's fantastic.
I'm so doped up right now on freaking meclizine. I couldn't care less.
I love it. Let's get doped up, Danny. Let's get doped up, Danny.
You had that in the post game. You had that in the post game last night when I was fading in and out.
Dude, you had a moment there where I was like, "Is this guy gonna die on the camera?"
Oh no! When I leaned back, I almost blacked out. I went and watched it back. I almost blacked out.
Serious question. What do I do in that situation? Like, do I just call the cops and say, "There's a guy in Newburgh. I don't know his address."
I'll give you my wife's number and have you call her and be like, "Hey, go check on your husband. I think he's dead."
You might have to, because I was thinking, like, if this dude dies on the camera, like, I'm just gonna sign out. I don't know what else to do. I don't want to sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm watching a guy die. What do I do?"
Oh, it's a live snuff film. God, yeah, no, it was that was tremendously awful content.
You had an Adam Gase moment, brother. Like, this is honestly, you were like,
oh yeah, no, my eyes rolled. I went back and watched it. My eyes rolled back in my head, and the whites just got real white, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I was gone. I was yeah. So good times for anybody who wants to catch that. That was there. But back to Damian Lillard. Dame struggled a little bit to start the season, to say the least.
Yeah.
He's found a little bit, but everyone's like, oh, see, that's Dame. That's Dame. Coach Nick at B-Ball Breakdown put out a video today basically highlighting all the things that I've talked about, where he's essentially said everything that Dame looks like he's doing right now looks like he's missing his core muscles.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what we're seeing, right? Like his ability to get by guys the way that he once did, the way he's finishing, whether that's a dunk
and pull up from deep three.
That's the biggest one, is the three. Like, go look at the three numbers. The numbers overall are getting better, but he's not shooting volume threes anymore. And when you can't get that from Dame, like, he can still be really efficient and kill you because he's that good, but it takes them to another level when he's able to do that. He can't do that still.
So this is, I think, a good opportunity for Dame to get going, because they don't. I mean, listen, Jayshawn Tate, I know you love him, but I don't know how much defense he's really prepared for.
Is anybody? I mean, this entire team is 1-10 for a reason. Like, shouldn't our universal love it be like Dame? Light them up, please.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're going into love it, like it, leave it right now. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go love it, Dame.
I'm gonna match you there. Like it.
Thank you. Ant versus Jalen Green.
God dang it, we're 2 for 2. Ant's the homie. He needs a bounce back game. He's been struggling. I need to see my guy get back in here. Leave it. I'm gonna go use
Add
Nurkic.
bench play. Bring it in.
Okay.
You got outplayed in the last game against Phoenix severely. So bring that energy. I assume Chauncey will give them the minutes, and maybe by the third quarter we'll know that this game is a wrap. But it is the Blazers, and it is this weird year, so maybe it's going to go deep into the fourth.
I'm gonna go leave it with my use of Nurkic pick of don't get packed up and rolled like Christian Wood has done to you in the past. Our betting lines, the local app, Brandon. What are we at right now?
Still 6.5.
I'm going to pull it up real quick. Live odds, ladies and gentlemen. The live odds say... God, it's loading very slowly.
The over-under is pretty low, too, by the way. It was surprisingly low.
222.5.
I'm taking the over.
Bloop. So, line is 7 points.
It went up to 7.
It is at 7 points now.
I'll take the Rockets plus 7. Backdoor cover.
I had to look at the margin of victory for what they've played at.
I've looked up all their over or their point spreads, Houston's, and they either push the number or the other team hits the number by a half point. Like Vegas is scary good on Houston. Go look at some of their results. Like they lost to Golden State, and it was like 11.5 points. Golden State won by 12. Right there.
I am going to take Portland on. I'm going to take the over, and I'm actually probably going to bet it a little bit heavy. Because I think this is a game where they go bonkers.
It has to be, man. Like this should be your NBA Finals type game. Like, go out there.
Bet has been submitted. I'm betting a little heavier than normal on the over 222.5. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. As far as the Olshey stuff, like I've from folks that I trust, I've heard that it could happen early next week. If he doesn't step down before that. But beyond that, I don't know. The big thing I'll take away as far as it pertains to Chris McGowan, it is not related to the investigation. As far as like being tied to it. So everybody trying to like get their It's Sunny, spider webs going. It's not there. As far as what I've been able to confirm, that is not the case. So
people were so looking forward to the Haynes Blazer tweet.
Oh, when it popped, I was like, what?
My producer texted me and said, Haynes reporting the O'Shea news. 1, 2, 3 seconds later, he texts back, scratch that. It's McGowan. Like everybody.
I love the voices you're doing this with because I know exactly who it is.
I think people just looked for Blazers and was like, there it is, he's gone.
Oh, no, that was my reaction because
I
got 8 words deep and it said Chris, and I went, oh. Like, what? Like, I just went from, man. This is, like, get the vein ready, and then it was just, no.
No, I had the Denzel Malcolm X reaction. I read it and I went, damn it. Is not who I wanted to read about.
There was somebody put a GIF in my response with the Dewey Cox story. The wrong kid died, and I was just like, that's exactly what I got out of this.
I love your instant text to me too because you responded like in real time, and you're like, "Is Neil surviving this?" And I'm like, "No chance this is happening. None. If he is, I'm moving."
I was so pissed. I was just like, "You cannot be serious."
We're moving to Seattle, and we're starting a podcast on a team that doesn't exist yet. And when they do, we'll be the first ones there.
Jack Sonics brought to you by
Jack Sigma.
latex gloves.
Hey, you got a Jack up there. Let's do it.
I do. And here, I'll tell you this. I'm not doing this because I'm going to check Brandon's prostate, but I'm doing this because to remind everybody, ladies and gentlemen, it happens tonight in the post-game show. Everybody is waiting for this, I'm sure.
Oh.
So Brandon and I will do the post-game show.
Well, we'll do a quicker post-game because this game's going to suck. You're going to go on,
and
I'm going to watch you do this.
And then so everybody knows Brandon will hop off, so there's no conflict of interest because I'm doing this with Chad. Figure it out.
Chad hates me. He's threatened my life. I don't know what to tell you guys.
So once the fifth quarter rolls up, I will simulcast with Chad, and we will Well, I will suffer, and you will all get to watch me do it live. Like I said, I've got the gloves, I've got the chip, I have got multiple ice cream sandwiches and chocolate milk on standby, as well as a bucket and a towel. So,
can you not do the? Just don't. Whatever you do, you may not feel it right away. Don't do the Shaq thing.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just.
It's not even hot. Like that's the worst look you could possibly have.
The plan is 100%. To chew this thing up as fast as I can and get it. Like, it needs to be in small enough morsels so it does not get stuck in my throat. Everybody I've talked to who's done it is like, dude, do not get a piece stuck in your throat.
Because it'll just sit there and it'll
just burn. Like, like chew it up into a paste, deal with it, and get it down. Because if it gets stuck, that is going to ruin you.
Right.
So that's where we're at right now. And what is happening here? Okay, it's injury updates.
Was Norm questionable for tonight?
Kevin Porter Jr. is available, and Norman Powell is still questionable. We have not had an update on him.
Okay.
So, yeah, there we go. You like that? Good times. So that'll be obviously tonight on the post-game show. Outside of that, that's it, folks. That's all for now. Ta-ta for now. Remember, like, rate, review, subscribe, do all of the things. You can find me on social media at Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague, and at Jack Ramsays. If you want to get questions in for the mailbag, you can always send them in to jackramsays@gmail.com. Be here for the postgame show. And remember to like, rate, review, subscribe. We're available wherever podcasts are available. And if you haven't already, again, please click the subscribe button. Help us grow the channel and get us to 2,000 by the time we hit Thanksgiving. Until the postgame show, for Brandon, I'm Danny. I'll catch you all later. Take care soon.